This is a Glassbox Media podcast.
Oh my God. I keep laughing at that clock. Jesus Christ, would you look at the time?
So good. Captain Marvel reaches $400 million. Nobody's going to ever go see a movie where a woman is the lead.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, that's how you can so tell that, like, all that shit is was so contrived by people who just didn't want things to change, because they're like, we can't have black people in the leads, we can't have women in the lead, and then you got like, I'm sorry, Black Panther and Captain Marvel would beg to differ,
Right? even crazy rich Asians. Look at that.
Yes.
Look how successful that
I love that fucking movie. It's so good.
Yeah.
Honestly, that movie is pure joy to me.
Yeah. I'm so tired of like people's lame ass excuses, because it's obvious like
there's no
that it's
fact in
wrong.
it.
Yeah, exactly.
What about Coachella? Have you guys been watching any of the Coachella stuff?
Yeah, some of it. I watched Ariana Grande's
How was
performance. Not great.
You see, and that's kind of, I watched part of it, and I was like, it's fine. But she got paid more than Beyonce to perform at Coachella.
Yep.
Wait, what?
Yes, she got paid like $8 million, and Beyonce got like 3 or 4.
Oh, no.
Yes.
You're
Yeah,
kidding.
and then you see, I mean, God bless Queen Bee for dropping Homecoming right before.
Oh, she's so
Coachella.
smart.
She's so smart.
I love
She's
her.
like-
It's like, go ahead and compare the amount of work. There's a part in Homecoming where it goes back and forth between the rehearsal process and the
live
actual
show?
performance.
Yeah.
There's a part where she shows her very first rehearsal. She was 218 pounds, had just had an emergency C-section for
the twins. Yeah.
Wow.
She literally, in 8 months, like, she did no sugar, no alcohol, no wheat, no dairy, nothing. And she's like, I'll never push myself that hard again. But she did so much work in that 8 months. And she was behind the scenes on everything, from picking out the costumes and looking at swatches and everything to being a part of the construction of the actual set. They had 3 sound stages. 3 whole sound stages for the dancers, for the band, and for the behind the scenes like production crew.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing,
It's
is like people
ridiculous.
who, I get it. I get Beyonce's music not being your cup of tea. Like, I'm like, I
Sure,
get that.
yeah.
Like, everyone has different tastes, and I totally understand that. But I don't know how you ever see her perform live and you're
and don't
not
respect
like,
her.
You're not moved.
like, I don't even understand. I don't know how that woman has enough time in the day to do the things that she does.
Right.
It's crazy.
Well, yeah, you
Copious
still
amounts
just
of
got,
help, I can only imagine.
I mean,
You
I'm
have
sure
to.
she
You
has
have
plenty
to.
of help.
You
Yes.
have to.
Yeah.
You still got to respect somebody that's like a master of their craft, and then to not only to view that stage as a way to put a message across that was very important to her, an empowerment of her culture and where she came from, an empowerment for women, is very obvious that whole production was extremely well thought out, and every detail was about that message. So then to juxtapose it with some of the current like acts, it was like, well, I mean, that's cool and all that you got 4 out of the 5 members of NSYNC.
I don't understand why they paid Ariana Grande so much money.
Yeah.
Like,
It's
why,
weird to me.
Why? Like, I mean, I know she's got
She's
star
got-
power, and I get that. She brings in crowds. I'm not saying that she shouldn't have been very well compensated.
And
That's
to be
where
fair,
she
she's
is.
an incredible performer
And,
as well. And
she's
she's
very
exactly
talented.
right. Like, it's not that she shouldn't be compensated.
Right.
It's just, I wonder.
But Beyonce, Beyonce is the queen of pop. Like there's no reason.
And it's we were talking about this last night. Our friends the Scotties and us all went to go see Christina's band play. Shout out to Modern Bronze, who were fucking amazing.
Thank you.
But it's one of the conversations we had talking about like just in general, like female performers and stuff. Ariana Grande is she is the Christina Aguilera of this generation, and that's what Ken said last night, and I was like, it's so true. She really is. She's got this incredible voice. Her range is impeccable. She understands her voice. She's truly a beautiful performer. But you're right, because there's this difference between being a great singer, a great performer, and somebody who puts on a magnanimous performance production.
Yeah, I mean, and the things that I remember, I saw her do something, I think it was at the Grammys, where she was performing something. It was when she had that big crown
Oh, God.
Yes.
and she was pregnant.
Girl,
And I remember
killer.
seeing her do...
We watched that together.
Did we watch it together?
We watched the Grammys together, yeah.
She did this thing where she was on a chair that had hydraulics on it and didn't have arms, and she was sitting in it, and she did one extended note for the whole time the chair went back and the whole time it went forward. And she's pregnant, big pregnant.
Yeah.
So shit's pushing on her diaphragm anyway.
Right.
And as somebody who grew up studying voice, I was like, I don't know how she's doing that, because you're having to engage these like stabilizer muscles to keep yourself on this chair while holding this note, and it was flawless while being pregnant. I was like, she's like, it's just the work is so apparent that she puts in the work and yet she makes it look effortless at the same time. It's like, you know, it's like so much work, but she makes it look effortless. And I will always support the fact that she is so supportive of her communities.
Yeah.
Like, did you hear about the thing with Reebok with her where
she just like walked out?
Yeah, she walked out of a meeting with Reebok because she was going to relaunch her Ivy Park line, and she got towards the end of negotiations and she like looked around and she was like, is this the team that's going to be working with me on this line? And they were like, yeah, this is the team. And they were all like old white dudes. And she was like, none of you represent my background or, you know, my race. So I'm going to have to take a step back from this. And she left. She went to Adidas. She was like, no, sorry.
Yeah.
And that's just like living with integrity, I feel like, as a you
it's
figure out what you stand for. Yeah.
It's putting your money where your mouth is.
And you do it. You do the thing.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
So yeah, everyone should watch Homecoming. It will give you goosebumps.
The trailer gave me goosebumps.
That's the best of live performance, and that's the reason why like I'm all for the fact that music is so readily available right now. I love that I can get online and I can hear. I've been able to discover a lot of new artists, but nothing will ever come close to touching what it is to actually go see live music.
Yeah.
It's something that I wish more people would get into and really get back into supporting, because when you do see a really good band, that's an experience, that's a shared experience.
Yeah.
And
it is something that truly, in the day and age, you're bringing up something really interesting, because in the day of age where we swipe on people and we communicate through Facebook and texting and all that stuff, the true universal language is music. And when you can bring a group of people together who can come in together as in solidarity to a concert to see this shared experience, you do reignite the human experience, the physical human experience of surrounding yourself with actual human beings.
Yeah.
And I think that there's something to be said. And I think we love to make fun of things like Coachella and all those, you know, oh, that's silly, or this or that, or these festivals. But you can make fun of that culture. You can make fun of that, whatever it is but it does bring people together.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that there are things to be critical of things like Coachella.
Right.
You know, I think that there are things to be critical of. But what I think is, I actually read a study, I think it was like Psychology Today, that was talking about how human connection, something changes in your brain when you're in a group of people and you're all singing together.
Oh, yeah.
Like if you're all singing the same song together. So if you're in a huge, like when you watch the performance of like Queen at the Live Aid concert and you see the crowds of people singing together, it does something to you psychologically. It rewires something in your brain.
Yeah.
And I think that's true no matter what. Like if you're in a group of people, it's like I went and saw the Mowglis. I've seen them a couple times because we have a connection to them, so we go. And I love their music. I listen to it on Spotify all the time. It is so different being in a concert where you're surrounded by people. You might not know them. You probably wouldn't even be friends with them or like them necessarily. Yeah. But in that moment when you guys are all together, like dancing and singing the same song, it like it just, I don't know. It
There's-
makes you,
yeah.
it doesn't matter.
You feel like you're
that
part
you
of
don't like
something.
them. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're part of a tribe. You're part of a
Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, connect it to dating. Go to a concert with somebody.
There you go.
Absolutely.
The way they
Great
respond
way.
to music, it would tell you a whole lot about a person.
Oh, that would be by far like it wouldn't be a great first date for me, but
Be a killer date.
Be a killer like second or third date.
Yeah.
You'd be getting some.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd sign that check.
Well, as long as everything went well.
Yeah, I was going to say, unless
Yeah.
they were like a sociopath
Yeah.
and they just like sat there
No
unmoved,
emotion.
completely unmoved.
Yeah. But yeah, taking someone to go see live music, it lights people up. So yeah, that'd be my advice.
Which I think is why I think that shared music interest is such an important part of a relationship because, I generally kind of describe myself as somebody who doesn't like country music, but I think what it boils down to is I don't really love pop music.
Yeah.
So, and it's funny, and you being able to share that like conversation where you can deep dive into what it is about certain musical genres that you really love, and to me, there's so much to be connected to.
Yeah.
So much connection.
Yeah, I don't think there's any kind of music I hate. I don't dig on screamo, although I've been to my number of screamo concerts. But like, I think that there's a time and place for most music.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I have a country playlist on my Spotify,
Yeah.
and anytime I'm like, you know what, I'm homesick.
Sure.
Like I listen to my country playlist
Oh my
because it
gosh.
reminds me of home.
Oh,
You know what I
Literally,
mean? Like,
what did I just download? Because when I was back home, and we
There
went to the
definitely
bar,
is like a home playlist.
there is, and it was a country song. Oh yeah, you never call me by my name, David Allan Coe.
Yeah, no, I think the thing that I like the most about music is sharing it. That moment when you're getting to like share it with people. Like I love trying to explain like why this song sounds like wind on the PCH, where I'm like, oh wow, this sounds like a summer day on the PCH, and this is why this like interval feels like this.
We talked, or no, you were there. You weren't at my birthday, but you were there, and a song came on the radio that or it came on in the bar that is so directly tied to my like high school experience that I started like tearing up, and I was just like, I haven't heard this in so long.
Yeah.
And Michael Scotty, because we graduated the same age. Shout out to Michael, like the same year, and we were both like, yes, you too, me too. And we like walked around the
such
bar
an
until we found
experience.
it was a connection, and then we walked around the bar until we found who put it on the who put it on the jukebox. We're like, who put that song on? Because it's something that I feel like it connects you as a generation too,
Sure.
where it's just like, this is something that like Anthony's like, I have no idea what this is. I've never heard it before. And I'm like, you wouldn't, because it was only popular for like 1 year.
But it puts you like I put that on my Bumble because spoiler alert, I reactivated Bumble because I got over the whole Tinder thing. So now I'm like, I'm gonna have you guys. We're gonna look at it, and I'm gonna have you compare.
Okay.
I'm gonna have you swipe a little bit on Tinder, and then swipe a little bit on Bumble.
Give you our
and I
eyes
want
to-
your
Yes.
yeah. So but I put that on my Bumble is you can connect your Spotify, and so I did, and then I'm like, I'm checking out your Spotify before I look at your bio or your pics.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I'd have to do some cleaning up on my Spotify before I let people do that.
You know what's funny is there's two things that I really feel like with Chris and I that when we get like, we're both very passionate about certain things.
yeah.
One of those things being music, and like the other day, we were driving to meet everybody in Santa Monica to go see Anthony's movie.
Mhm.
And on the way there, I was like, hey, Chris, put on some like heavy metal for me. Like, I'm really in the mood to like listen to like some Iron Maiden or something. He's like, looked at me. He's like, it would be my pleasure to share this experience with
would
you right
love
now.
that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's funny how pure joy moments, you know what I mean? Like when you're just in your body and you're just like, all the joy that I have in my body right now could emote, and I can feel the joy coming off of me. that to me, sometimes those experiences when we share music together like that, or I introduce him to something he's not heard, which is very hard because Chris is very on top of it with music. He's very, very, very into it. You and Chris talk music all the time, Christina.
Yeah.
So he's very on top of it with music. So when I get to share something with him that he's never heard before, pure joy for me. When he's like gets excited about sharing something with me like that, pure joy moments. The other pure joy moments for us are usually sports related.
Yeah.
And I said, we had a really great experience, and it's weird because we'd gone through a not great experience right before this. And Chris and I we had like a little hiccup and had like some things going on. And so when we went together on a trip right after that to Tampa and to visit some friends of ours, and we went out to our friend's birthday party for their little girl. Football there, just tossing a football back and forth. I was like, I could have flown home on the joy that I felt inside. Simple little silly things like that for me are so things that you wouldn't think are even a big deal. I'm still talking about it. And that was like, how many months ago?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like February. And I'm like, to me, like, I love that. Like, I love those pure joy moments. Sometimes when I get home from trips, just walking through my new apartment, I just touch the walls and I'm like, I'm so grateful to be here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's good.
I love that.
That's what you want to find.
Yeah.
I am just now getting into feeling that by myself.
That's great.
Which is the reason why I'm like such a stickler right now and not really in on dating, because I feel like you do have to find that on your own before you're able to find that with someone else.
100%. And I would never have gotten to a place that Chris and I are in that and having these moments if I didn't get to that place myself first. In fact, some of the first conversations I had with Chris specifically were, I'm not kidding you. Like, I think on our first or second date, I literally was like, where you at, foo? Because I'm not looking for, if we just gonna fuck, we can fuck, but this is what I'm looking for. And we literally had the, I don't need you conversation. If you're going to be in my life, it's because I choose for you to be in my life. It was completely at that place. Like, you're not going to complete me because I'm already a whole person.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you're going through right now, is a whole person.
100% how it should always be.
course.
I mean, I get the whole two halves of the whole
go.
thing, but like, to me, it's just not practical. It's just not practical, and it's also just not true, because life comes at you fast, man. And like, you could, not to get like too down, but like, you could lose somebody.
Yeah.
Tomorrow.
Right.
Don't let that person be the other half of you, because like anything could happen. And then what happens to you? You just have to be half a person?
Yeah.
That's not right. Like, you should be a full person, and that person's a bonus
Yes.
to your life.
That
Like,
should always be how it feels.
Yeah.
Whoever is in your life should always feel, and that goes with friends, that goes with family, that goes with partners. Anybody that's in your life should always be, in my mind, bringing value to your life.
Yeah.
Because life's too short. You know what I mean?
right.
And I'm not just saying cut a bunch of people out, but sometimes you have to be able to be the human that you need to be to live your best life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know? And I do feel like, I know it's deep brag. We talk about it every week, probably, about how great our friend group is. But I think that, there's something to be said about that. There's not a person in our friend group that I can't imagine being there, because they fulfill such a important thing, and I want them there, not because I need them, because I choose and want every single person that's in our friend group to be there. And I never feel like,
ugh, I have to be around this person.
well,
Oh my
this
God.
person,
I would go to that party, but so-and-so's going to be there. Yeah, no, never.
Right.
Well, this took a deep turn for the top of the
Yes.
show.
Yeah.
Wow.
Full of laughs today.
I know.
We were like, it was very deep thoughts with Jack Handy in here.
Oh God.
Very philosophical.
I know. Well, what do we want to do for Fuck, Marry, Kill?
Are we gonna do bad boys?
Oh yeah,
What
we've
you
been
gonna do?
talking about this. I keep leaving it till last minute to decide who
I've
I'm
had
going to
mine
be.
on deck for like 3 weeks because we
Okay.
keep being like, we're going to do this.
Okay,
Yeah.
who's yours?
So, okay, I don't
know I haven't
know.
thought about
I don't
mine
know
either.
that he would classify so much as a bad boy now,
Okay.
but I know whenever I was growing up, he was definitely in all of the teen magazines as like being a bad boy.
Okay.
And that would be, and so I'm going to go with that. I'm going to go with young Colin Farrell.
Oh, interessante.
Because like Colin Farrell was
Yeah.
like a bad boy. I remember when
Yeah.
it came across that he was like, or came out that he had like slept with Britney Spears, and everyone was like, "Oh, she's going through a
Say what?
wild child phase," like because he was older than her, and he like had slept with her, and everyone was like, "Oh, she's not a virgin anymore. Now she's like fucking
God.
bad boy." It's like wow. So that'd be mine.
Colin Farrell.
That's
God, I
interesting.
know I'm bad too. I'm the one who brought this idea up, and I
Right.
still have yet to think of mine. You know, because I initially had thought I was going to do Christian Bale, but we've done Christian Bale like what 500 times,
Right. You love
Approximately.
him.
approximately. And but I know, I just like him so much.
I don't see Christian Bale as being too much of a bad boy.
Really,
though.
he's got such a bad reputation.
Does he?
Yeah, a
Oh.
reputation for being a bad boy, or like kind of a. I don't know.
Well, I was gonna say what brought it to mind. I don't know why. This is the one that's been stuck in my head for 3 weeks, and I haven't been able to get around it. But Snoop Dogg.
I don't think I'm a bad boy
All right.
at all. That's so
But
funny.
like back when I was growing up or whatever,
He's
I
the chillest
I
bad boy
remember-
ever.
I remember being like, because like and the reason why it came into my head is because my older cousin, he's like, I don't know, like 5 or 6 years older, is the one that introduced. I had never heard rap until I like went over to my cousin's house, and my cousin was listening to Snoop Dogg, and I was like, what is this?
Well, he did have an album
And then
called
it was
Doggy
like-
Style. Like I could see how, like,
And I,
if you
I was
brought him
very
home-
scandalized.
Yeah,
Back in that, because I wasn't listening to like any kind of rap or anything like that at that time. And then my cousin was like trying to be a bad boy, and he was just like, yeah, he's in a gang and blah blah blah. And I was just like, oh my god.
I think.
So,
I
yeah.
mean, I think he's a bad boy in that, like, had you brought home OG Snoop Dogg to
Right.
your parents, they would have been like,
Now
No.
I mean, he's got like a cooking show with
he's
Martha
like
Stewart.
so chill now. I think that's what we think of is like, yeah, he still gets high, but he like his BFF is Martha Stewart, and he's got like he had that reality show. He's been married to the same woman for fucking ever.
I know.
Yeah.
He openly says that like she's in charge.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
she wears
Yeah.
the pants in their relationship, and he had that reality show on like E, and it was funny because you just saw Snoop Dogg like driving a minivan to take his kids to soccer practice and shit. Like he's so like
That's so
I love him.
funny.
Actually,
yeah,
I think he's
that's-
great.
Also,
That's
I
what
think
came
we
to
should
my
do
head.
rappers at some point.
Oh my
Sure.
god,
Because that makes me think of Ice Cube. My
Oh,
fave.
totally.
Shit. I don't want to go down this path because I do think we should do rappers.
Yeah,
At some
yeah.
point. All right.
But that's-
So I think I thought of mine because you went
Okay.
down the musical path.
Yeah,
It made me think of Tommy Lee.
there you go.
Okay.
I think he's
a
the
bad boy.
consummate bad boy,
Yes.
right?
That's
Definitely
good.
is.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. Absolutely.
Yeah, I
I'm
think
like,
that's what I do.
I have
mine
mine,
isn't
I think.
really even like a bad boy. It's just that I thought he was,
That's
just because
so
I was
funny.
such a sheltered, like fucking
I
child.
mean, I think he probably was when he started.
I mean, he
think
had a
probably
murder
was. Yeah. Yeah.
charge.
It was the case that they gave him.
Yeah.
Okay, I know mine. I've
Okay.
got mine.
All right.
So I am going to fuck Colin Farrell because I think he's actually still. I mean, young Colin Farrell especially, but I think he's still hot.
Fairly attractive.
Yeah, I think he's still a good looking man. So I'm gonna do that. And I like an accent. What is he, like Irish, Scottish?
Yeah,
What is he?
he's got
some.
some kind of
Oh,
brogue.
Yeah, he's
You're
got
right.
a yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna marry Snoop Dogg because I'm like,
Dude, come
that
on.
man,
Yeah.
you're going to be the queen of his castle, and he
right.
will take the kids to Little League.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
I like that. And yeah,
I
again,
love it when he
it's-
talks politics too. Can you imagine you and Snoop Dogg like talking politics?
I love it.
So funny. He's
Yes.
got a joint. I've got a glass of wine. Let's do this.
Here we go.
I like it. And yeah, even though I bet you a roll in the hay with Tommy Lee would be a good time. Especially, I mean, he had that sex tape with Pam
Yeah.
Anderson,
And he
and
got a
we've
baby
all
arm.
seen
Yeah.
the situation down there.
Yeah, it could.
But
It pays the rent.
it's
Yeah,
the
it does.
same thing. Like
It could pay to rent on its own.
I'm a little concerned. I can't remember who we said this about before, but I'm a little concerned he could give me something, and
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
And he is. I found out he's engaged to one of those.
A YouTube
Uh,
girl.
YouTube-
Yeah, like
yeah,
an Instagram
celebrity.
girl, a
Vine
Vine
girl.
star.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She
that.
seems
She seems annoying.
She seems trouble.
She seems annoying. And
I watched her on a like documentary, and I was like, "Sweet baby angel."
Yes. The thing that
American Meme.
Yes.
I watched that too.
I was like,
she seems
I wanna
troubled.
hug you.
She
Something's
complained.
up.
She
need a friend.
simultaneously
Yeah.
was
You need a
complaining
friend.
about the industry, and yet every time the camera was on her, she was
needs
on
it. Yeah.
She needed that like attention in a way that I'm like, I would never be friends with you because
Right.
you would be so
impossible to be friends with.
Well, she'd just suck all your energy. She's like an
Vampire.
emotional vampire. I mean, I don't know her, but that's the vibe I
Right.
got. But yeah, so I'd probably kill Tommy Lee. Nothing against Tommy
Yeah.
Lee. You do you, but
You know, I like to be obstinate and I like to go down a different path.
Go for
But
it.
what I'm going to say is going to blow your mind.
really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, go.
I agree with you 100%. I can't. So
Really?
here's the thing, because what I really wanted to do was
I
fuck
thought you were
Tommy
gonna
Lee.
fuck Tommy
You-
Lee.
I know. You thought it because I thought about it real hard. God damn, he got a nice cock.
Yeah.
But, well, we guess we can't use that for the cutout for the
No,
show.
no.
That won't be in the promo.
Instagram would not find that.
Not approve that.
No.
Got it.
No.
Yeah, he's got this nice, beautiful cock, but I am pretty sure it's going to give me at the very least, Hep C.
Yeah.
You double bag that, and even
You
still,
double bag, and then you're still scared because
Yeah.
the
You're
double
on
bag,
antibiotics.
You're like before you go in.
No.
you take an antibiotic pre antibiotic.
It's too much work, you know.
Yeah.
Like,
watching his. I remember the first time I thought Tommy Lee was really attractive.
Oh God, he's so hot
was
back then.
he was
did
really hot.
He did a drum video
love
to
drummers.
Soulja Boy. He did, and I was like, what? It was
Yeah,
smoking hot.
yeah.
No,
Smoking
physically, young Tommy Lee was like what I would have gone for.
Schwitzing right now thinking about it.
because he was
Yeah.
hot and he
Yeah.
was like skinny. He was a hot, skinny white guy with good cheekbones. That was
Right.
like my
And he's,
only
like,
requirement.
dark hair.
Tatted
Yeah.
up and just like, oof.
Yeah,
Woof.
I mean, it's in my wheelhouse all
Yeah.
day. But I'm also now 40 years old or 41 now, so I can't be fucking around with my life like that. You know what I mean?
yeah.
I'm not the drive fast, take chances kind of girl anymore. So I guess I'm gonna fuck Colin Farrell. I mean, it'll be a pity fuck, but whatever.
It would be fine. I feel like it's not
fine.
going to be exciting.
I'm
It's
not gonna
just
write
gonna
home
be
about it.
Although I think he
I mean,
did.
maybe he will.
I think he did fuck Britney Spears in an elevator. Or was that was Benicio del Toro with Lindsay Lohan? I don't know. Someone got fucked in an elevator.
say-
No, you guys didn't hear about this?
No.
Yeah, Benicio del Toro had sex with Lindsay Lohan when she was young.
Fuck him in a fucking
Girl.
elevator. Good God, he hot.
He was especially hot when he was younger.
Yeah, he was.
I think he's
Yeah.
less hot now.
Now,
You
yeah.
know he looks puffy.
He looks puffy. He
Yeah.
looks like he's drank a lot.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
when he was young,
Yeah.
even back then,
Wait,
even
Tommy
in the,
Lee don't look good now.
no, he looks swollen too.
No,
Yeah.
we talking old Tommy.
Yeah, Snoop Dogg
Young.
looks pretty good. That's
Yeah.
weed, guys. Just
Yeah. Weed.
yeah,
apparently-
don't drink.
Weed.
Just smoke a lot of weed.
Weed,
Yeah.
and I believe the saying is black don't crack. So I think that's,
it's uncrackable.
it is.
Yeah, he looks
the same.
He looks the
he looks
same.
the same.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought
So,
young
yeah.
Snoop Dogg is attractive, but the fact that he gets
It's
more
his sense
attractive
of
points
harm.
because he didn't age.
Yeah. Well, he it's also for me, like I find him so attractive because I think he's so funny.
He's
Yeah.
and he
funny.
just
Yeah.
is like
Yeah.
he amuses me. You
He
can
does.
tell
And
he's
I
just,
love
like,
watching him
intelligent.
with Martha.
He's the best
Yeah.
bad boy ever.
Him and Martha are
yeah,
like the cutest together. Actually,
I'm definitely gonna marry Snoop. I'm exactly on the same road
All
as you.
right, cool.
Yeah.
Are you gonna mix it up?
I go back and forth. I haven't
I know.
seen recent pictures of Tommy Lee, but like there's something like I do not like about Colin Farrell. Like
No, same.
I really don't. It would be the Sahara down there.
I
just-
know.
Oh,
I've watched
Even
so
if he
many
talked
of
to you,
his
what
movies.
if you got blindfolded and he just talked to you first?
Oh well,
There we go.
I mean, that's the key
fixed
for
it.
me.
We
That
fixed
is
it.
the key. If he was saying something in that accent in my ear, I'd be like, "Well, this is fine."
Yeah.
You know what's
Do
weird?
it from behind.
Okay,
things.
maybe you need to see Dumbo too because he is in
Oh,
Dumbo,
right.
and I think maybe it was a thing for me where like I felt that way about Colin Farrell when he was younger. He was a bad boy, and I was like, he seemed arrogant, and I don't like that.
Yeah.
But I think I saw recent interviews with him, and he seems way more grounded. So I think maybe that's coloring my decision. I don't
Yeah.
know.
I don't know. Maybe I haven't gotten all my self-destructiveness out yet because I think
Sure.
I think I am gonna fuck Tommy
Okay,
Lee.
I
that's
don't-
fair.
I'm not judging you.
Yeah.
Right here.
I just
not
like
judging.
if I'm
Yeah.
you know,
And you'll probably be fine. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll probably be fine.
I mean, roll of the dice, double bag, and just,
90%. I think you're going to be okay. I mean,
but I mean, I'm like, well, you know, you only live once.
That's right.
So
YOLO.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to go that route.
everyone's got to go
Kill
sometime.
Colin Farrell, and I'm going
right.
to marry Snoop Dogg.
All right.
All
Well,
right.
That's
Snoop Dogg's a lucky man.
he is lucky,
But his wife might try and kill us.
Oh,
all.
no.
she's
no,
like
she
you
would
know what?
not play.
We deserve it.
she will.
We
she will
deserve
cut
it.
us.
So if
She's
you're
like
listening-
5 foot, but she will absolutely
also,
come after us.
if you're listening, we're not actually going to follow through.
No, we're listen. He's
No,
you're
but
safe.
if he wants to hang out and we can be friends, that would be dope as well. We
Yeah.
would all.
I'll be
like-
friends with both of them.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
yeah, I'll come over and hang out with you both.
Did you see someone posted a picture of him in an Easter bunny costume?
I love it.
I'm like,
I love it because
you're awesome.
he doesn't take himself too seriously.
No.
I think that's what I love about him. It's just like, yeah, I've got enough confidence to put on this pink Easter bunny costume.
Yeah,
What?
Yeah.
Who cares?
He got
yeah.
he got no fucks given. I love that.
Yeah. Well, that was a good one. You guys want to
Yeah.
take 5?
Wait.
Wait.
Uh-oh.
You're listening to My Worst Date.
How was that?
Oh my gosh, my worst date. Yay.
I'm Keegan.
I'm Cassie.
and I'm Christina.
And now we'll take 5.
And we'll be right back with stories.
And we're back. Okay, so I will start us off with stories this week. This one is kind of a long one, but I feel like we need to do it.
Okay,
I
cool.
am buckled in. I am
excited.
ready.
You can edit that however you want.
for it.
Okay, after hearing a couple other stories, I have one that is a little similar to one that you already told, so I wanted to share another one. I had just moved to a state far away from home on my own. After I got past the high of a bold move, I was a little more lonely than I thought I'd be. One night, while drinking wine and eating crappy pizza in my half-furnished living room, I downloaded Tinder. I matched with this one
Sounds
guy.
about right.
Sounds about right. Yeah, you're like, wine and pizza.
yeah, and you're like, ugh.
I matched with this one guy and we started connecting right away. The conversation quickly moved to talking on the phone and I was so smitten. He mentioned having his own business, really being tight with his family, no kids. We had all the same interests. I thought it couldn't get any better and I got really lucky.
And
Never.
this is called My Worst Date. So
Yeah, I was just
So,
gonna say what I want someone to write in where that actually happened,
And they're like,
on
the end.
Tinder. Yeah, exactly.
That's
I'm
it.
just like, nope, 0 times.
Aw.
The next day, I had a really tough day at work and I just wanted to go home. However, he kept pushing me to meet him out, and I was excited to meet him, so it didn't take too much convincing. We met at a little hipster bar, and he was super cute, very funny, and so nice. I had a great time and found myself happy that I came out. The only thing that struck me as weird on the date was that the one thing, here we go.
The one thing.
Here we go.
Here comes the red
Little-
flag.
Red flag
thing.
numero
Get ready,
uno.
get ready to drink.
All right.
Was that he asked if I was still talking to any of my exes. I jokingly told him that the only guy I dated. I jokingly told him that only the guy I dated in 8th grade, but we never got past hand-holding, so I didn't think that counted as an ex.
Right.
He casually laughed, and we moved on with the conversation, and nothing else weird happened.
That sounds like somebody that's got some baggage. He's
Yeah.
like, let me open up my JanSport.
Yes.
Yeah.
Here's my Trapper Keeper.
Yep.
These are the 3 women that cheated on me.
Here's
and
my
now I
burn
have
book.
issues.
With their exes.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Yes.
After the date, he walked me to the car and asked me to text him when I was home safe. He seemed perfect. Later that night, he sent a Snapchat of a certification with the caption saying, "I'm certified." But the first and last name on the certification wasn't his name, and his business was construction and the certification was restaurant related. When I questioned him on this, he actually convinced me that he didn't know what I was talking about, and it must have been a snap from someone else.
What?
I know. The fact I believed him is embarrassing. Red flag number 2.
Yeah, drink.
Now I'm concerned.
Yep.
Yeah.
A few days later, he came to my house. We had dinner and watched movies. He ended up crashing at my place, but I really didn't mind. After that, he came over what seemed like every single day. Occasionally, he would have to, quote, run home real quick, but didn't want me to go with him.
Red flag, red flag,
I
red
did
flag.
see this as a red flag.
Oh, good for her.
But I didn't want to go with him either, so I kind of brushed it off. At one point, he was wearing my hoodie and Beats headphones when he, quote, ran home and came back without them, and I never got them back.
Yes.
Oh, bitch.
No. I'm gonna have you run
You
back
know what?
home
You
real
can
quick.
keep that hoodie, but you better bring
Get
my
my Beats
headphones
back.
fucking back.
Those things are expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are.
He wanted to take me hiking. I'm not really this type of girl, and hiking, I'm like, No.
Side eye.
If you've given me red flags already, I'm like, I don't want to go hiking with you.
Well, here's my thing. When I go, because I go up Runyon quite frequently, I sounds like I am going to die.
It's not sexy.
It's
Same.
not sexy.
That's why I
at
want to go
all.
with you, because we can sound like we're dying together.
I like that. I like working and sweating and that sort of thing. But like when I'm first getting to know somebody, I'm like, I
not
don't
date good.
No, it's
You
not
don't
date
need to
good.
see how out of shape I am off the cuff.
Exactly.
Like,
exactly.
Totally.
Let me go ahead and tell you that I do yoga frequently, and let that be the little fantasy that you
Yeah.
have in your head.
Yeah.
Right.
And let
Maybe and Bindi.
Let me do cardio on my own
Right.
for a while until I
Yeah.
build up enough stamina. Then we can go hiking together,
Yes.
and I can pretend like I've always been this healthy.
Yep.
We're gonna do that.
That's right.
So she says he wanted to take me hiking. I'm not really that type of girl. I love being outside, but by that I mean more like hanging out on the beach all day.
Got
Amen.
it.
Same.
That's
Got
But I went anyway because I'm always down to try something new. We ended up not hiking, but instead renting a canoe to check out the waterfalls. Time out. I love canoeing.
Me
I
too.
love it. It's one of my favorite things to do. But if we are going somewhere and you tell me we're hiking and now all of a sudden we're canoeing
To a waterfall?
to a waterfall, very different things. I'm
Yeah.
not prepared for this. I feel like this should have been outlined
Yeah.
on the outset of this date.
Yeah.
I like to be prepared.
I need to bring my plastic baggies to put my shit in.
Yeah, I want a swimsuit on, my water shoes. Let's do this.
Yep.
Okay. Long story short, he tried to play a trick on me by acting like we were going to accidentally row off the waterfall.
So funny.
So fucking funny. When he actually did get caught up in the tides and almost sent me plummeting to my death down the waterfall.
Oh no.
What?
Thankfully, I'm familiar with the way water works and could get us out. Looking back, I should have jumped ship and just let him get himself out, but that's not who I am as a person.
Nice.
I was pissed, and it was a 2.5-hour ride back with this dude, and I was no doubt giving him attitude because I was still fuming, and he said, "You're being so uptight. I didn't mean for it to go that far. At least I'm not fucking around with any of my exes."
Wait.
You mean the one I had
In
when I
eighth
was 13?
grade?
That
you
one?
fucking weirdo.
The one that
I
I just held hands with?
Hands with.
That one that you just logged away that information for this moment when you almost killed me. Cool.
Wow.
Cool.
Great. Same thing. Totally. This made me stop in my tracks because I didn't even know what he was talking about until he brought up the fact that I'm still friends with the guy I hung out with in 8th grade.
Jesus.
He said, "I'm just not okay with it. It weirds me out." Our ride back was not pleasant.
Ooh.
I went off on him about how he's not a real ex and how I now live 10 hours away from this dude, so I don't know what he's so worried about. You
And
shouldn't even
also,
have to justify
thank
yourself.
You don't have to
No.
justify yourself
Yeah.
at all. It's
No.
like
None
oh
of
my
your
God.
business.
None of your
Business.
fucking business.
Yeah.
A. And B, it's like we've talked about our friend group is very mixed. And it's like at a certain point in a relationship, like you're that fucking controlling that she can't have friends that are guys.
No.
Ex
No,
or
I mean,
not.
that would be a hard deal breaker for me. I'd be like,
Yeah.
listen, I'm not trying to deal with anybody who's that insecure.
Exactly.
No, I
Exactly.
don't have the time, energy, or patience. No.
No.
We stopped at a gas station because I definitely needed a snack and a drink. He tried to include my stuff in his order. I pulled it back, saying I would pay for myself. He paid for his stuff and walked out to the car without saying a word. When I got to the car, he freaked out on me because I embarrassed him in front of the male cashier by not letting him pay for my order.
Okay, we are through here, sir.
I know,
We
so
are
much wrong.
Through here.
When we got back to
God.
my house, I wouldn't let him come in and told him he should spend the night at his own house. He left and then knocked on my door a few hours later, bringing me pizza and apologized. The next day, he asked if he could move in.
What? What?
Oh, Jesus Christ. Would you look at the time?
Oh, God.
Like,
No,
no, sir.
no.
Oh my God. Dude, I have like chills right now and I'm so sweaty
armpit.
because
Oh, your dog is so worried.
I
Tig-
know.
Your dog Tig is here with us, and
Wait.
he's like, "Are you guys okay?"
He just
doesn't
like we like screamed. He's like, what?
He's like, what's going on? No, that's not okay. Like,
No.
I can't even like make it past like date 3, let alone someone being like, so I'm going to go ahead and move in.
No.
No.
No, sir.
No.
Well, you already almost killed me. We just had a terrible day. It's a bad time to ask that.
Yeah.
Ask
Right.
me that question. Like, what are you doing?
The worst.
I was getting suspicious that there was something going on with his living arrangements since he never slept anywhere else. He had been showing up at my house before I got home from work and waiting outside for me since I wouldn't give him a key.
Oh, homeless.
One day,
homeless.
One day when I ran late in a meeting, he complained that he had to wait outside for way too long. So I said, do you mean you want to be added to the lease or you want to crash here for a few weeks? And he said he wanted to be added to the lease. I had known this dude for less than 2 months at this point.
Nope.
No, thank
you.
No.
No.
Obviously, this was a huge red flag, and of course, I would not add him to the lease.
No, thank you.
He threw a pity party saying, I guess I'm just more serious about this relationship than you are.
Guess you are, sir.
Guess
Bye.
you are.
Yes, you are.
Bye.
Yeah. Sorry.
Here's me not caring about that.
I'm kind of done with this shit at this point because the near-death experience was still fresh in my mind since it had happened the day before. So I told him to stop being a baby about it.
Nice.
I love her.
He went to leave because he was mad when he came back into the house right away. But he came back into the house right away because his car had been towed. My apartment complex at the time was very strict about only parking in certain spots if you didn't have a resident pass. And I told him this, but he didn't listen. Somehow I ended up paying the $200 fee to get his car out of the impound.
Oh
my God.
Only to have it towed again 2 weeks later.
Wow.
This motherfucker parked somewhere again and got his car impounded again 2 weeks later.
That's your problem.
He was really weird about getting it out of the impound this time and refused to get it out. So he started taking the bus everywhere. Public transportation here is not good at all. So it was very unreliable. I ended up letting him use my Uber account to get to my house from a job site. It was only $8, so not a big deal. But a few days later, he took a $60 Uber ride to Walmart on my account.
No.
What
Get the
is
fuck
going on with this hot fucking mess, man?
Jesus.
This isn't a JanSport this guy's carrying.
Yeah.
He's got like a full fucking carry-on.
It's like in one of those army bags.
Yeah.
That's like a full body
rucksack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
At this point, I was so over it. I called him and asked him why he was getting a ride to Walmart when he confessed to me that that's actually where he works. Remember, he said that he was a businessman and got a certification in like...
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was I'm so confused.
And he never actually had a construction business at all. I told him he needed to get his car out today because I was done giving him rides and was deleting my Uber account. And he said he couldn't because it wasn't towed. It was repossessed.
Oh,
Okay.
no.
He also admitted that the name he gave me wasn't his real name.
Wait, what?
He didn't actually have his own place. He wasn't the age he told me he was, and that he was casually dating another girl long distance. All of this is happening while I'm sitting in my car on my lunch break at work.
Oh my God.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, all of it's a lie.
Oh my God.
We got into an argument, and he called me an infertile bitch. Which
Excuse me,
kind of
what?
threw me off.
Yeah. What the fuck? What
a weird insult to throw at somebody.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, never mind. I forgot where this story goes. Not so weird. Hold on. I asked him what in the world would make him come up with such a bizarre insult.
Right. It's not like they were trying to have kids. They were together for 2 months.
He confessed that he had been poking holes in all of our condoms to try and get me pregnant.
No.
Cassie's gone. She
Cassie
opened the door.
left.
She's
Oh,
gone.
no. What kind of fucking monster?
Psychopath.
Are you kidding? I would murder that guy. I would fucking murder him.
Are you fucking kidding me? You're fucking with
Ooh.
Yep.
my heat right now. My heat
I know.
level.
I
Caliente.
I'm radiating. Muy caliente.
Oy vey.
I guess he didn't know that I was also on birth control, but that wasn't the point. And the fact that he tried to pull something like that without my consent made my blood boil. Us
Yeah.
too.
Oh, God, yeah.
Oh,
I light
was-
this motherfucker up.
I was so angry I had to tell my boss that I got sick and had to leave because I couldn't focus on my work. I get it.
Yep.
I told him not to come over that day and he lost his mind. I hung up the phone and he sent me 133 unread text messages in the course of an hour.
Ooh, shit.
He repeatedly told me he was coming over after work,
No,
and
you're
I
not,
texted
sir.
him back only to tell him that the doors would be locked and I wouldn't open them, so he shouldn't waste his time. He left me. First of all, put a
And
pin
I'm
in
gonna
that.
call
Also, and I'm
You
going
need
to call
to
the fucking cops.
or bare minimum, you need to call people to be there with you. Like you
Absolutely.
shouldn't be at home by
100%.
yourself. He left me messages screaming at me for doing that to him, that he was already on the bus on his way over. He came to my house and started banging on the door and yelling at
Cops.
me
911.
that he knew I was home. I called the police.
Yes.
They were just going to tell him that he needed to leave, but when they got there, he saw them and started to run away from them. So they arrested him.
Yay!
Happy ending.
Oh, it's not over yet. He called me to bail him out, and it turned out they had warrants out for his arrest for unpaid tickets and things. But he also was on probation after being in jail for 3 years for a hate crime.
What?
I looked it up, and he had been arrested for multiple assaults. One of them for beating his ex-wife. He never mentioned he had been married.
Oh, really?
He had restraining orders put on him by 2 other women. Woo. I, of course, did not bail him out. He wrote me 2 letters in one day blaming me for putting him in jail. After I was free of him for a few days, I began to realize how much of my life he controlled. He kept me entertaining him every day, so I was never able to go out and meet with friends. He made me feel guilty if I ever wanted to spend time by myself or fly home to visit my family, and constantly told guys off if they even looked at me. I know it sounds dumb, but I truly did not realize how controlling he was being until he wasn't around.
That's what they do.
It doesn't sound dumb.
No, it doesn't sound dumb at all, honey.
From having those conversations with your unlike-minded friends who are going to be like, what the fuck's going on?
Yeah.
All right, act 3 of this story, and then we're done. A few weeks later, a girl came to my door one night, banging on the door, yelling, "You need to come out and talk to me right now," crying through her words. I was very skeptical to open the door, thinking it could be a weird trick or something, but I opened it, keeping my guard up. She was very shocked to see me. She said, "Where's James?" That's his real name. He doesn't deserve a code name, she says in parentheses.
That's awesome.
Right.
Yeah, fuck you, James.
I told her that I hadn't seen him in weeks and that he was arrested. She was an ex-girlfriend of his who couldn't get her child support from him. Again, never mentioned a kid.
Jesus.
And this was his last listed address with the lawyer. I had never let him sign a lease, so I don't know how he verified my address on legal forms.
Wow.
I told her everything I knew and mentioned that he never said anything about having a kid. She told me he had 4 kids with 4 different women that she knew of.
Oh my God.
That she knew of.
That she knew of. Not that I needed any more of a reason, but I knew I never wanted to see this guy again. I was scared that he would just show up at my house, but luckily he never did. Fast forward 3 years later, the girl who showed up at my door is actually my best friend now.
Oh my God.
Yay!
The best. This is a happy ending.
Oh, it's so good.
And I've learned that he wouldn't let her get an abortion when she got pregnant, even though she said they couldn't give the baby a healthy life. He convinced her they would make it work and everything would be fine, and then abandoned her 2 weeks before her due date. He had messaged me several times, freaking out about me not bailing him out, and then again about wanting to meet up and maybe try again. What a piece of shit.
You can suck a dick.
Suck on these balls.
We thought about going all John Tucker Must Die on him, but decided to just block his calls and not let him ruin our lives anymore. All of this happened within 3.5 months, and it was an absolute roller coaster, and I'm so happy it's over. I'm also happy to announce that my taste in men has changed, and I've been with an awesome dude for over 2 years, so hopefully no more bad first dates for me. Keep up the amazing podcast. You guys are awesome.
Oh my God. What a roller coaster. And I love the so many happy endings that Dude Face got his and went to a jail where he belongs because he's a shitbag. And that it ended with friendship.
Isn't it amazing how like this guy can like
Sister solidarity.
Oh, absolutely,
I like that.
100%. But this guy, what's wrong with our legal system that this guy can just like beat the shit out of how many women? He's got assault charges on, from women. He's got restraining orders, and he can just keep going in and getting out of jail like super quick. At what point do you get to a point where it's just like, nah, you have to stay in jail for a while now?
Is it a crime to poke holes in a condom?
It should be.
I think it should be. Yeah.
I absolutely know that it is.
I don't know that it is either, but that's I mean, it's not technically rape, but you're definitely crossing a line of consent.
There was a case a few years ago where they asked if it was a rape if you started out having sex. 'Cause what happened was they started out having sex with a condom, and then partway through he took it off. And she's like, it is considered sexual assault because these are not the parameters by which I agreed to have sex with you.
Yeah.
I gave you my consent with the understanding that these things were in place.
Sure.
So
I absolutely think that he committed assault then.
does this guy have a fetish of knocking women up? Because it's kind of at a place where it's like he's got 4 kids he's not taking care of. He's trying to knock up a woman who...
It's a way that they can control them or something, or
but then
own them.
But then he bails as soon as they're born, so it's weird. I don't know.
So it's not like
it's just about them being pregnant.
About him spreading his seed, I guess.
Yeah.
Is this like
Guess so.
I wonder if this is like a fetish thing or something.
I don't like that.
The worst.
I don't like that
like
either.
any of that.
I mean, unless
Thank you for sharing your story, though. That was
that's a wild ride.
Yeah.
That was a wild ride. All right. Well, to offset that long story, I have a short one.
good.
So
Perfect.
Yeah. So mine is from Reddit, and it says, so this happened about 4 or 5 years ago, so everything is fuzzy. I hear you, girl. Only 4 or 5 years. Yesterday was fuzzy. Okay. I would get on dating apps on and off for years, so I started talking to this guy. He seemed relatively nice, and plus I was intrigued by the fact that he was almost 2 feet taller than me. Oh, I love a tall guy.
My.
Ugh.
2 feet?
That's tall.
Yeah.
Wow.
There's no way someone's 2 feet taller than me.
No.
That would be, what is that, 7'8"? They would have to be 7'8".
Dude.
But I did swipe on a 6'7", dude.
7'4".
And I was like, ooh, a whole fucking foot?
But I mean, I guess if you were 5 foot, you could meet somebody who was 7 feet tall.
Yeah.
Actually, so I had an ex who was 6'8". I'm 5'4".
Yeah.
But I had a friend who was 4'11".
Okay.
And her boyfriend was over 6 foot.
Oh, shit.
So, I mean, he wasn't 6'8", but say, like, my boyfriend at the time had gotten together with her, then that would have been like a
Yeah. Wow.
over 2 foot difference. Oh, no, almost. It would have been a 2 foot difference.
Oh, yeah. I'm intrigued by everything about that height
That's
difference.
too much. I feel like for me, having dated someone who was much, much taller than me, I'm like, things were tricky already. Like, if you add another 6
You're definitely
inches,
not
and I'm
fucking
like,
in the shower. That's
fuck,
for sure.
man. Like, I'm gonna like literally climb you like a tree.
That's funny. We talked for a few weeks before agreeing to get lunch. I always drive myself for these types of meetings, so if I need to escape, I can.
Yeah.
So yes, totally. So lunch was okay. There wasn't that much of a spark. After we were done eating, he wanted me to sit with him in his truck. Stupidly, I agreed. He started to kiss me. I pulled away and made a comment about him having soft lips, and he looks me dead in the eyes and says, "You know what else is soft?" Then grabs my hand and puts it on his dick. I never jumped out of a car so fast. I raced home, and when I got home, I noticed he sent me a video of him jerking off.
Get out.
I blocked him so fast.
We've already talked about that. Anytime there's like a hand behind the head situation or like a hand on the dick situation, please don't.
It's not supposed to be soft. It's supposed to be hard.
He's
a weird line. You know what else is soft? Not supposed to be.
Or do you mean you moisturize down there? It's
issue?
like maybe it's just like he's like skin so soft, you know?
Gross.
Why? And then sent her a fucking video of himself?
Jerk off videos are gross, guys. Even if you can appreciate a good dick pic, fine. To me, I'm like, I don't want to see a close up jerk off video.
I don't think that there's anything grosser than a penis that you're not into.
Yeah. I mean, that's exactly where I was going to go with that.
Yeah.
And like, it'd be one thing if you were into that person.
Right.
It'd be different.
I'm completely fine with all kinds of videos or pics if I'm into it.
God.
But
we
if
had
I'm
a
not,
deep dive
it's
porn conversation
the worst
at the party last.
Oh, what?
Like, we're just talking about like porn, and then we were talking about the sexual astrology book.
Oh, which we need to bring and do on
you missed
the podcast.
everything.
Oh, we are going to bring it and do it on the podcast and read our
we should do that for
our
Patreon.
Friends.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, we should do that.
It gets wild.
It gets
okay.
wild.
I'm down.
We should do that for Patreon. Yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, I've got a story that was emailed into us. She says, "Hi, ladies. I've spent the last month or so chronologically binging your podcast and have enjoyed every moment laugh crying in public like a crazy person."
I love that. It's my favorite.
Perfect.
So this story is a little different. It is a collaboration worst date / shame receipt composed by both parties involved.
Oh.
Okay.
All right.
I'm a bit of a romantic, sorry, not sorry, and love a good how'd you meet story.
I like that she says sorry, not sorry.
Yeah,
she's directly
she was
speaking to
looking
me.
at you.
I felt her look at me through your mouth.
Yep. So I met Joe, in quotes, years back. I saw him getting out of his car in our Miami airport employee parking lot and was immediately attracted to him. I creeped so hard that I discreetly ran to catch up to him so I could stare at him on our employee shuttle.
You're never discreet.
Oh,
he
that
felt
wasn't
that the whole time.
That wasn't discreet.
Once at the airport, we happened to be walking in the same direction to the automatic doors, but once we got up to these doors, they didn't open. I tried hopping on the weight sensor mats, and that seemed to do the trick for the doors and for Joe. He laughed at me, and we started to walk and talk.
Oh.
But eventually, we parted ways without a proper goodbye, and I couldn't believe he could just leave me like that. She's like, what? We met at the airport.
I have seen many a romantic comedy, and that's not how this goes.
Exactly.
What
You're
the
supposed
fuck?
to hop off the plane to be with me.
Right.
That's how these things work.
Right. Run
I
through
love
the
it.
airport with roses.
It's the best feeling. I've had it a couple of times in the last year and a half when you're just instantly attracted to somebody,
Yeah.
a person that you don't know. That's just that smell test. That's pheromones. There's something there.
Yeah.
And that's magic. So anyways, she says, when I got back to my car, his car was still there. I found a scrap of paper, wrote a note with my phone number on it, may have even slipped it into a stray Ziploc bag, plopped the note on his windshield, and went about my life.
Amazing.
A couple of days later, I was back at work and he texted me.
Oh my God. I can just feel the butterflies of she had been waiting probably on pins and needles for how long?
Oh my God.
And then she got the text and she's like, oh my God.
Now remember, she said she co-wrote this.
Co-wrote.
Oh, did he write the other half?
So
Oh no.
she says, why'd you take so long again? He says, I was deciding if I should text you or not. So after texting for a little while, we agreed to meet up around my place for pizza when our schedules aligned. She says to him, you thought this was a friend meetup, right? He says, I thought it would be nice to have some friends in Miami and you seemed really fun and nice.
Oh.
So I ended up getting him too drunk that night and he crashed at my place, but we didn't sleep together, much to my chagrin.
And he didn't shit on your house. That's good.
Exactly. All seems pretty normal, right? But this is my worst date podcast.
Yes, ma'am. You know where you're at.
We were getting frisky at my house. This is second date, and decided to dip into the goodie drawer.
Ooh.
And decided to use, you guessed it, a butt plug
Okay.
on me.
Okay.
Okay.
It was a cute metal one with a
Okay.
pink jewel at the top.
Yes.
I'm like,
I'm here for
I'm
it.
here for it.
Yeah,
Fancy.
signed
Ooh,
up.
you fancy.
You fancy, girl.
Fancy.
Okay.
You got some bling in the ring.
Oh, okay.
Okay, that's too far. That's cool.
Is that where the
come
line
on.
is?
Is that where the line?
All right.
Great. Things were getting hot and heavy, and Joe started playing with it. Apparently, we were both really into it because all of a sudden I heard an oh fuck. And not the good kind.
Oh no.
Guys,
Oh no.
Oh no.
my ass ate the butt plug.
No.
Here's where I'm gonna put.
You guys, this is why I don't fuck around with butt stuff.
Not
That's why I don't do it.
Not on,
No.
not on the second time.
No.
Not on the second time. This is the first time they've slept together. Butt stuff for me, it takes me a little bit to get. I love butt stuff.
Okay.
I'm a huge fan.
I'm here
but
for it.
you play with fire. Sometimes you get burned,
I don't know.
Right?
Oh no. Oh my God.
and you really want to light that fire on the
How does
first
that
time.
even happen? How does it? How does it? The logistics of that.
Your muscles
Yeah.
contract
Yeah.
and everything like
Yes.
that. And it just
Shoop.
like okay.
So Joe tried for a moment to retrieve it, but I quickly realized what had to be done. Sidebar, at the time I was renting a little guest cottage. It was a studio and might as well have had no bathroom door because it was just a thin piece of wood that would be secured with some hook and eye type bullshit latch. So a guest could hear everything that went on in that bathroom.
I'm sorry, you gotta, Joe, you need to wait outside.
Joe, I'll see you in a month.
Gave Joe one of my bright pink bath towels to cover up with and banished him to the porch. I had to shit out a butt plug.
Oh my God, you guys.
Joe says, I felt terrible. We were having such a fun time, and now I was worried for your safety. Never having lost a foreign object in someone's body before, the only logical next step was to consult Google. After all, we couldn't be the only two people this has happened to,
You
right?
certainly are not.
Definitely
In
not.
a panic, I typed in the search, lost butt plug in someone's ass. I love it so much. Oh my God, his FBI agent is like shaking head. Like,
I know.
Oh no. Sure enough, the internet didn't disappoint. Reddit was full of story after story of the same thing happening to all sorts of overly playful couples. A wave of relief washed over me because it seemed you'd be okay. I opened the door to report the good news. I shouted, hey, this happens all the time to people. Worst case scenario, we can go to the ER together.
No.
I'll drive you.
No.
Upon hearing this, you firmly commanded, back to the porch.
Yes.
Resigned to my fate, an erection still prominently raging behind a small pink hair towel, I went back to the porch just as your landlord began walking to the bungalow. About 15 feet away, he looks up from his walk and we make
Why couldn't you put shorts on? Why?
we make really awkward and uncomfortable eye contact.
Oh no.
The kind of eye contact two dudes have if one dude is just coming to collect rent and another dude is inexplicably standing outside on the porch, obviously hiding a full erection behind a small pink towel.
Oh my God.
While the chick
He
is
didn't
trying-
sign up for that.
did
That
not.
landlord was like, I didn't sign up for this shit,
He's like,
dude.
I'll be back later.
Oh, yeah.
I'll come back another day.
He looks me up and down in confusion, and then I politely wave hello. He shakes his head in disgust and walks away.
I love that imagery. He's just like, no.
No, sir. No.
She ends it with, after much sweating, cursing, and yoga poses I didn't know I was capable of, a safe extraction was accomplished.
Oh, thank Jesus.
And needless to say, that goddamn thing went right into the trash.
Yep.
Joe and I ended up dating for quite a while, and although our romantic relationship didn't pan out, we still remain friends to this day.
That's a great ending.
Oh my God, I love it.
And you know what?
Everything about that story.
Anthony's friends with a doctor, and I don't remember what he does, but he was telling us he had like
so
really
much stuff in butts.
He had really funny stories, and he was telling us about it. And he's like, there was this one time, this like 14-year-old girl came in, and she was like had all this like sickness, and they're like, we couldn't figure out what it was. And she had come back, and we took forever to try and figure it out. It's not funny, but it's kind of funny.
I feel like we need to cut this out for HIPAA reasons.
No, we don't know who she is.
Yeah.
And I'm not outing the doctor or anything, but she had the top part of a lava lamp, that little top part in her ass. Like, it's like she sat on a lava lamp and the top part came out. She's fine. It's all fine. But I was just like,
It makes you think about
and
like
your
when we were
mom's there. You're 14. Your mom is there. Like you can't say
God.
like this is probably what.
I
Oh
then
my
ran
God.
away for life
Oh
and
my
never saw my
God.
family again.
Exactly. I changed my name.
I moved to another country.
Yes.
I mean, we can't talk shit because we had this conversation
We had
about
to
you
talk
use
about
weird things.
hairbrushes.
Oh,
yeah.
shit.
It's
No,
like,
you're experimenting. You're young. You're not buying sex toys.
Oh,
exactly.
no.
You're sitting on lava lamps and hairbrushes and all kinds of stuff.
And having sex with tampons and by accident.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh my
that was a great
God.
story.
No.
Thank you so much. Oh my God, we needed that. That was fantastic.
Wow.
That's a great way to end it.
Wow.
Okay, crazy in love time. Yay! In typical Keegan fashion, I was telling Cassie earlier on the way to brunch that I changed my crazy in love this morning.
Awesome.
Again. I had done one last night, and I was like, no, that other one I thought about doing is better. So I was like trying to do my makeup like writing notes at the same time. So this might be all over the place, but I'm going to try and keep it together. Okay. In 2012, Harold and Dr. Tony Henthorn were on a 12th anniversary trip. They were going to the Deer Mountain Trail. So he had made this surprise trip for their 12th anniversary. And they stayed at the Stanley Hotel, which is what they used as the model for the Overlook for The Shining. They stayed there.
Where is this at?
In Colorado.
In Colorado. Okay. Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
okay,
And
okay.
so then they wanted to hike in the Rocky Mountain National Park.
Oh, cool.
So they decided to do this hike, and there are pictures of them on the trail. They got their camera back, like doing this whole hike. They're probably in their 50s or so, but an active couple. And it starts to get dark, and a frantic call comes in to the park rangers, and it's Harold, and he is saying that Tony has fallen from an overlook. So she was...
Why am I always suspicious of when it's like a hiking death or scuba death? I'm always like,
No, you should be. I mean, it's exactly why in that first story I told when he's like, let's go hiking. I'm like, you don't know a motherfucker like that. You don't need to go hiking. No, you don't need to go hiking.
We don't need no
So-
scuba diving, no hiking.
Yeah. So he says that she has fallen, and she has fallen about 130 feet off of the edge of the mountain on a very dangerous kind of like precipice. He says he gathered their backpacks and he headed down to her. So he climbed on down to her. He starts texting her brother, who's a cardiologist, saying, he calls him first and he's like frantic. He's like, check your phone. I can't talk to you on the phone right now. Which is kind of a weird thing.
Yeah.
Seems like you could get information out quicker talking on the phone.
Right.
Yeah.
But instead, he had always like bragged about his first aid skills. And, you know, her brother's a cardiologist. So he is texting vitals to the brother and saying that her vitals are, she's got a pulse of 60 and a respiratory of 5. And then he texts sometimes late. And so at this point, the cardiologist brother is like, okay, I think that it'll be all right. I think she'll be okay with those vitals. I understand what's happening here. It sounds like she probably hit her head because her breathing was kind of low. So he texts sometime later and says that he's starting CPR. And the brother takes that as a bad sign. It seems like things have kind of turned for the worse. It's been a while now. They're at such a place, like where they're at is really difficult to get to. So it takes them 2 hours to get to them, to find them, to find where they are. By the time they get there, she's gone. So, yeah. So,
That sounds like somebody's writing their alibi. Like, oh, I'm doing
did this.
CPR.
Yeah. Texting.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, they're playing like Candy Crush.
And texting so that it's on paper technically and not vocally saying it over the phone because there's no record of that.
right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did
So
everything
weird.
that I could do. Look at. So
How would it be easy? Like, how could you text and do
Right,
CPR at the same
exactly.
time? You
And-
can't. You call. You have the phone on speaker, and you know what I mean. Like,
And he says
so
he did
bizarre.
CPR for some outrageous amount of time. Like the medical examiner is like, any normal, like fit person who does this regularly would have a difficult time doing CPR for longer than about 15 minutes.
Also,
because
I
it's
feel
so
like you would
physically
have
taxing.
evidence on that body because
Yeah.
CPR sometimes like break
Broken
ribs,
ribs,
and stuff
all that
like
shit.
that.
Yeah.
Well,
it
I
does.
mean, and at this point, so here are her injuries. So at this point, I'm not sure if CPR really would have done much. She fell down 130 feet down the side of a mountain.
Oh, Jesus.
So all of her extremities have injuries. Her neck is broken.
Okay.
She has injuries to, they think that really what did it was the injuries to her neck. Her neck was broken.
Sure.
The injuries to her chest and the injuries to her lungs and her head.
That's one of my biggest fears, like falling like
Oh,
that.
yeah.
I think is the worst. That
Well,
makes me
yeah.
so. Ugh.
And she was alive. She fell with all of those injuries to all of her extremities.
And
There wasn't a part of her that wasn't injured. And she was alive when she fell, but it took them 2 hours to get to her. So in some time in that period of time, she died from the
Yeah.
injuries. It took a full day where they were located, just to give you guys kind of an idea, like where they were located. It took them a full day to get her out, like by helicopter, to like air vac her out, her body out.
Shit.
Yeah. So initially, the National Park Service was in charge of the investigation, but the FBI quickly took over, partially because they were like, this is kind of suspicious because his story kept changing. Like, he said initially that she was standing on the edge trying to get pictures of this overlook, which a lot of people were like, that seems weird to us. Tony was very, very cautious. She wouldn't stand there. That seems really strange. And then he started saying different things to different people. Like, he was like, no, I didn't see what happened. I was looking at something on my phone. I didn't see her fall. I did see her fall. We were looking for a private place to have romantic time. And then afterwards, she was trying to take a picture of me and she fell backwards. Like, he kept saying different things. Yeah. And because this was on a national park, they could get the FBI involved because it's national property.
Yeah.
So they got the FBI involved. The medical examiner is immediately like, because his behavior was so suspicious. His behavior was kind of weird, and they said, I was watching this documentary or this TV show, which is awesome, and you guys should watch it, on Oxygen, and it's called Accident, Suicide, or Homicide.
Ooh, I've been watching another Oxygen show, Murder for Hire.
Oh, Murder for Hire is the shit. Oh my God. We will talk.
Yes.
Murder for Hire is so
the
good.
shit. It's so good.
I almost did a Murder for Hire one.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. But yeah, Accident, Suicide, or Homicide. And they're talking to the medical examiner, and he was like, his behavior was weird enough that, like, we know everyone grieves in different ways, but someone involved in the investigation came up to me, the medical examiner, and was like, how could you determine based on her injuries if she fell or was pushed? Because his behavior was so unusual.
Right.
So the family thought that his behavior was weird too. He seemed weirdly calm, and he kind of threw himself into completely planning her memorial service, including 48 hours after her death. Like, your wife has just died.
Oh, yeah.
And 48 hours after her death, you already have her bulletin completed.
Okay.
You have all the music picked out, and she's going to be cremated.
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
And the
There you
family
go.
was like, she's never said anything to us about her being cremated, but we know that you're the husband, so maybe she said something to you at some point about being cremated.
Just to let you know, I do want to be cremated.
Yeah,
So if it
me
ever comes-
too. It's not suspicious if someone
Okay,
says,
good to know.
same.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah. If
but
Chris says that, it's not.
yeah, I don't
it's
need
not
to
sus-
side eye him super
Yeah.
hard. Okay,
I mean,
good.
unless my death is suspicious, and then
In which case,
I want a full burial, open casket.
you're
like-
lowered into the ground. We're like,
If I drown in a scuba diving accident, I want.
if you die in a bathtub, can we be like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
she actually specifically requested to not be. We have it recorded.
exactly. I'd like to exhibit A.
yeah, we'll keep this for future use.
Episode 45 or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
go ahead and dog ear that episode. But he also did things like, she wanted to be cremated, and the mother was like, okay. And this mother, like, so Tony is from Mississippi, and her family all are like Southern, and her mom is like the cutest little like Southern lady.
I love moms.
So cute. And she had picked out a dress for Tony to wear, like, or a couple of dresses. She's like, I'd like for Tony to be cremated in one of these dresses. And Harold was like, no.
Excuse me, what?
Yeah, I'm
Why?
like, I'm sorry.
Why does he
She just
care?
he's like, I picked a dress for her to be cremated.
To be
in.
cremated. Why does he care?
I don't know, because he's a control freak.
What a non-
So Tony and Harold met. Tony had already been divorced previously. She was a successful eye doctor. Harold was a successful businessman, and he was a widower, and she was a
he's
divorcee.
a widower.
Yeah.
Oh.
So
Okay.
they met on Christian Mingle. Yes, they.
Did you
I'm
guys
sorry.
hear
I'm
my
sorry.
eyes roll out
A
loud?
Christian dating site, but we all know
It's Christian Mingle.
it's Christian Mingle. So they met on Christian
Jesus
Mingle,
Christ, would you look at the time?
and they developed a relationship very quickly. They were kind of getting not terribly up there in age, but they both really wanted children. And so she saw this as kind of like, this is her second opportunity after having been divorced. It apparently was a very difficult divorce on her. And they wanted kids. So they got married. And 5 years after they were married, they had their daughter, Haley. So they had one daughter together. Now, a lot of people after Tony's death started calling in tips to the medical examiner, the FBI, and they were like, look at Harold, you need to be looking at Harold. And somebody called in a tip and was like, by the way, Harold's first wife died in a freak accident too.
Yeah.
Yep. So you need to take a look at that.
Suspect.
So
I love being a nosy neighbor. I was just a nosy neighbor the other night. I was out on my balcony because I heard drama. And so when I hear drama,
fuck yeah.
I'm going to...
My ear to the wall.
My ear goes straight to the wall. Our neighbors sometimes have drama, and I'm like, I want to know exactly what they're
I want to
fighting
know
about.
all of it.
I want all the
Give
tea
me
right now.
all of the tea.
Agreed.
So it was like right across the street, like diagonal from me. This guy was like screaming at another guy on his porch, like spitting on him, like all this fucking crazy shit. And then all of a sudden, the guy from the street hopped the fucking little gate there and started beating up the guy. And so I'm like standing there and I just yell out, "Hey, I'm gonna call the cops." And they both like stop and like look over at me. And then I realize I'm like, oh wait, what have I done?
You're
like,
so brave.
I was just
because like I'd be scared
but
to do that.
I mean, and the guy was like jump. So the guy like finally like went away. But I was like, ooh, I like tea so much, but I've crossed the line.
You have to
now
do
I'm
that
involved.
behind your curtain so they can't see. So they're like, where'd
That's
that come from?
I know.
Who said that?
Yeah, nosy neighbor is the best.
Well, yeah. I mean, and I can imagine like, okay, so let's get into his first wife because I could see how maybe you could be like, all right. Seems weird,
Yes.
but like once could happen. But the second time,
Yep.
you're like, no,
Yeah.
I didn't say anything the first time.
Yep.
I'm here to talk now.
Yep.
Right.
So he married a woman named Lynn in September of 1982. And by all accounts, they seemed to really like each other. Again, they both really wanted to start a family. That was something they really, really wanted. But Lynn was having a really, really difficult time starting a family. She had arthritis even at like a really young age, and it was causing her problems. And she was having ovarian cysts and just issues trying to get pregnant. So she was scheduled to have a cyst removed. And at the time, I guess in like 1995, this was considered an experimental surgery. So your health insurance wouldn't cover it. Aww. And so they were going to have to pay out of pocket for it. And friends of theirs actually said that they had overheard Harold complaining that the money that they were having to spend on the surgery meant that he wouldn't be able to get a boat.
Oh, well, I can understand.
I mean, sometimes you just got to sail.
you gotta
set those sails, you know?
Oh.
So he, regardless, the surgery moves forward for the end of May. Now, on May 5th, they are taking a drive together and he feels one of the tires getting low and it's nighttime and he's like, he feels like one of their tires is low, like a wobble. So he pulls over to change the tire and he doesn't have the right jacks to do it. Oh, I know this story. So he doesn't have the right jacks to change the tire and a lug nut rolls underneath the car. Lynn goes to get it. The car falls off of the jacks and crushes her.
I've heard this story before. I know this story.
She gets taken to the
Crazy.
hospital. She ends up dying at the hospital and they're just like, okay, it was an accident. They ruled it an accident. And everyone's just like, well, okay.
Oh, okay.
So, but after this happens with Tony's is so suspicious that the medical examiner did something unusual in that he said that homicide could not be ruled out. So they ruled the manner of death undetermined, but he went out of his way to actually type in the medical report, homicide cannot be ruled out in this case.
Wow.
He wanted to cover their bases and not just be an undetermined thing, but be like, there was somebody else there, homicide can't be ruled out as a possible.
Yeah.
So
it's suspect.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So Lynn's case is reopened, and at this point, things are kind of like falling into place for the family. The family is like, yeah, there were red flags in their relationship. Like, for instance, after Tony and Harold got married, the day they got back from their honeymoon, Harold asked Tony to get a physical so that they could get life insurance. The day after they got back. Yeah. And
nobody cares that much about life insurance.
yeah,
Seriously.
it's weird.
Unless you're
And-
in the insurance industry, literally everybody forgets that they need it until it's like, oh,
Yeah.
fuck, you know what? We should get some life insurance or some shit.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Oh, we got
Or if
kids
your
now.
work offers it. Like my work
Right.
offered it. So I was
Totally.
like, all right.
Nobody's that pressed about it, though.
No, it's
You know what?
weird if
We
your
got married.
husband is that weird about it, especially you don't have kids yet.
Yeah, and
That's a
especially if he's
strange
like,
thing.
It is weird.
It's going to be like $1 million. You're like,
Yeah.
mm.
Yeah.
Oh.
And accidental death is high.
You're like
You're
1 million reasons for you to murder me.
yeah.
Yeah.
So in their relationship, he quickly became like really controlling. He took over their finances completely. So she's a very successful eye doctor, and he took over all of their accounts. So she didn't see the finances at any point.
Interesting.
And he spent all the money.
Well, yeah. I mean, like they were constantly like, she was like, I know I make good money as a physician, but like I look at our statements sometimes and I'm like, I don't understand why we don't have any money. Or she looks at like how much is there.
Yeah.
And she's
Yeah.
like, I don't understand. It's
The
not adding
balance.
up
Yeah.
Yeah.
based on what I'm bringing in.
Yeah.
And it's weird, but she never pressed him on it. And the mother, it was kind of sad because the mother was like, he treated her like, especially later on, started treating her kind of badly in that he would talk down to her in public and things like that, and in front of
like that.
the
Nope.
children or the child and all of that. And
don't like that.
it was very obvious that he was very controlling. And the mother was just like, her first divorce kind of broke her, and she never wanted to go through, she had said she didn't want to go through the loneliness of a divorce again. So she would rather just be the dutiful wife and deal with like being in a bad marriage than like going through another divorce. So that's why she didn't leave.
I can get it, man.
Yeah.
It's difficult. It's difficult to explain to people because it's different than a breakup for a number of reasons. And it's really difficult to explain why it's different, why it just sucks. But yeah, no, I
Well,
I
and
get
this was
it.
a woman who she's Southern. She is Christian, like very Christian Southern woman. She went into her first marriage. It was for life.
It was for life,
And
right.
then it fell apart and it broke her, you know? And so she was just like, I'll just deal with this situation.
Yeah.
But so a year before the accident in the park, there was another accident. Tony and Harold had just had a fight at their vacation cabin. They had had a fight about her becoming a partner at her medical practice. And
Okay.
he did not want her to become a partner because it was more expensive or something like that. It costs money. I don't know. It was like a money thing. He was upset that she was going to be spending money to become
She had to be like, maybe
partner.
invest in the
Maybe.
in the practice. Yeah.
And so she, like, you can see their cabin and there's like stairs that go in the side door and then like down, and they keep wood below the stairs kind of.
Yeah.
And so she was down there like gathering something, and he asked her to get something for him. And so she went to get it, and a like 2x4 fell
Okay.
from where he was, and it hit her in the back of the head.
Oh.
And the only reason it didn't do more damage is because at the last minute she had like swerved. And so she still had to be hospitalized for her injuries, but she wasn't like, it wasn't worse. It could have been a lot worse.
Yeah.
And her mom said like, I don't think that was an accident. Like
Yeah.
told her like, I don't think that was an accident. I think he did that on purpose. So on the day
Wow.
that Tony died, Harold had 4 policies in place with a payment of $4 million.
Jesus Christ.
He also had
Wow.
other insurances in place that would have upped that to almost $5 million.
See,
Tony had no clue.
accidental death.
Yeah, Tony had no idea because she didn't
Do the
look
finances.
at the finances.
Wow.
Harold, at the time of Lynn's death, had collected about $650,000 from Lynn's death.
He's like, well, I can get way more off
Yeah,
this one.
he's like,
Yeah.
I know what I'm doing now. He
Wow.
also they talked to, after Lynn's death, he stayed in contact with her family, and he had stayed in contact with Lynn's sister-in-law and was very active in their lives with her and her children. She said that her children looked at him as an uncle still and all of that stuff. And whenever she got divorced from Lynn's brother, he kind of stepped in to like really help them, and she was struggling financially. And he said, why don't, you know what, here, I know that Tony and I know that you guys are struggling. Why don't I help you out? I will help you put together a life insurance policy for you so that if anything happens to you, your girls are taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
It was during the investigation that she discovered that he took out those life insurance policies with him as the beneficiary on those policies.
No.
Mhm.
What?
So this is where you're going to get excited, Christina. So
Oh.
they were always short on money. And he was supposed to be this super successful businessman. He had checks made. He had cards made. They thought that he made tons of money. When they looked at the Social Security statements during the investigation, he had not worked since 1992.
Oh, wow.
He had not worked since 1992. So they were like, where is he going? Because he would go away like for weekend trips, like business trips and things like that. And they were like, where is he going?
Scandalous.
So they tracked his movements and they were like, okay, he goes to this same coffee shop or like diner, cafe, like every week.
Wow.
So they went and they knew it was him. They recognized him because none of the servers wanted to wait on him because he was so rude. So they recognized him and that he would go there instead of working when he was supposed to be at work or on a business trip. And then he would go to their cabin to stay the night before going back home.
Wow.
He wasn't working at all. And that's why he wanted control of the finances so that she couldn't see that.
That, he's not
that he wasn't bringing
in
in any money.
Wow.
He also, they discovered, had gone 9 times. He had made the trip to Estes Park, to the Rocky Mountain Trail 9 times to and from. And they could determine that because he's a smart guy. He turned his phone off so that it wouldn't ping. But they could track when he turned it back on, and it was always around either going to or coming back from. And that happened 9 times. And they actually found a map in his car that mapped their trip out and had a little X at the point where Tony fell.
Interessante.
What an idiot.
I know. What a fucking idiot. Like, if you burn that map, what are you doing? You're there. You don't need it anymore.
Fucking amateur hour here.
Right. But they said that one of the things that was most chilling is that during one of his trips to and from is when he turned his phone back on, he made a call to her medical practice and told them, our 12-year anniversary is coming up. Don't tell Tony. It's going to be a surprise, but I want you to know, like, clear her schedule for this day because I'm going to take her out on an anniversary trip and she doesn't know yet. And it's going to be really romantic. So this motherfucker, like, planned her death and then called... like in the same.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yikes.
So they think that because then it's like, okay, well, what was the catalyst for him to have killed Tony? She had been convinced by her family to open her own private bank account that had just her name on it, that she would just put her own money into. So she had just opened that bank account like not long before. And they think that was the catalyst for him not having control of that money and having such a big life insurance policy on her that he could, and he got away with it one time. So he was just like, I can probably get away with it again.
Yeah.
So at this point, they arrest him in November of 2014. So it's about 2 years after Tony's death. They arrest him. They arrest him on first-degree murder, and he pleads not guilty. I loved this fun fact because she was just pleased as punch. He was arrested on Tony's parents' wedding anniversary. Like, her parents are old, and they were like, it was the best anniversary gift we ever could have gotten. So 3 years after Tony's death, Harold goes on trial. The judge does allow them to introduce the evidence of Lynn's death as well as the accident with the log.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Which, they could very well be like, we don't have to introduce that evidence.
Right.
The trial lasted 2 weeks and the jury went out on a Friday. So they deliberated over the weekend and the family was like, it was the longest weekend of our lives. But then they returned with a guilty verdict on that Monday. Harold was eligible for the death penalty, but Tony's family took it off the table.
Oh, really?
They took it off the table and just said, we don't want to take away Haley's other parent. They said she's already lost her mother. We don't want her to lose her father, but we want him to be in jail for the rest of his life.
Yep.
So he,
What a tough decision.
Yeah.
it would be hard, but they seem like good people.
Yeah.
A month after his conviction, the cause of death in Lynn's case was changed from accident to undetermined. So he has thus far not been charged with anything in Lynn's case.
But it's on the table.
But it is on the table for if they were to get the right amount of evidence. Oh, because I forgot to say, they went and tried to recreate this. When they reopened Lynn's case, they went to where he said it happened. They tried to recreate it the same way that he said it happened.
And they couldn't.
They
couldn't
kept
do it.
moving the lug nut further underneath the car to try and see like if they could shake it off of the jack. The only way that they could do it was to literally go in front of the car and push it off of the jacks.
Kick it off, yeah.
Is the only way that they were able to do it. So there's almost no possible way that this could have happened as
The way
an
that he
accident.
says it
the way
did.
that he
Yep.
says it did.
Right.
That's the part I
really-
remember about this story is that part where she dies underneath the car with the jack. I remember that part.
I remembered the cliff
chills.
part. I remember
yeah,
that.
right. And that, yeah.
Because everyone being like, he says she fell.
Yeah.
And he actually pushed her. But the thing that stands out to me about this story is it chills me how cold this man must be, because the way you are killing these women is tremendously painful.
Yeah.
Like you push someone off of a cliff, she broke her neck and a bunch of her bones and was in
Callous.
incredible pain.
Yeah.
And you sat there
Texting.
while she died.
Doing nothing except
Doing nothing. And same thing with Lynn. She was crushed underneath a car.
Yep. These
And-
aren't like quick, painless
No,
deaths.
no. But you saw it as a way that you wouldn't get caught.
The
so,
in-sear means.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
A
So
psychopath.
horrifying.
Yeah.
The daughter now lives with Tony's brother, and apparently she's doing really well. So that's good. But
Yeah.
But-
What a difficult way to. What a difficult thing. I mean, oof. Your dad killed your mom.
Yeah.
yeah.
But that's what's so
And you-
fucked up about that murder for hire
oh
show
yeah.
on Oxygen. It's like
Yeah.
how many like husbands or wives
Yeah.
are like out there literally, and they have kids, like all that kind of thing, and are trying to like find somebody to kill there. I'm like,
And oftentimes,
Jesus, like
Wow.
I know
For-
divorce is a
Divorce,
pain,
yeah.
but
well, I mean, sometimes they are divorced. One I saw, they were already divorced, but she just hated him so much that she was like,
oh my god, was that the crazy Cynthia one?
wait, was that her name?
With the woman with the hair?
Yes.
You
We're
guys are
gonna
both
talk about
with
it.
the hair?
Yeah, she had
Yeah.
a weird bowl cut and then a weird.
It
there
was
was a lot happening.
Unfortunate. It was like
Oh, I can't
a
wait to watch
fucking
it.
Lord Fauntleroy
Yes.
haircut.
Oh,
it was
God,
so weird. I was like,
honey.
what is
I
going
almost
on with
did
this
that
woman?
one. I almost did that one because I was like, that one is bananas.
Oh, I'm going to watch it.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
it's,
watch it.
it's such a good show. It's so
Okay.
compelling because you're watching video footage of someone literally trying to hire a hitman.
That's crazy.
right. So this show is
That's like the one that I did, the story that I did where the woman, and they had the video evidence of her like talking about it.
yeah.
Oh, you're gonna love this
crazy.
show
I love
because
that.
this show is
I
like
don't love it.
It's produced
To
by
clarify.
by Dick Wolf.
Oh, yeah.
So first of all,
You know
and then
it's good.
secondly, they're not only murder for hire stories; they're all murder for hire stories where there's interaction with a undercover agent.
love that.
So
Yes.
there's always
don't.
there's tons of video and audio.
Wait, because
Like,
they
tons of
actually, because then it never gets followed through with.
no, it never
Because
does.
that's good because that makes me actually love it. Then
Yeah.
Like they're all
'cause it's-
trying to,
They're
but they don't
trying
do it.
to.
Oh
but
yeah, no one actually dies
Because they're like
so.
idiots, and they're like this one that I watched
I have
like yesterday.
$85.
She was like,
Fine,
she like
I don't do
approached a car salesman.
Wait, what?
Like, and
What
I
an
think
idiot.
I think it was a racist kind of thing because the car salesman was like Latino,
Oh.
and so like she was like used to go in and get her car worked on, and so she's like, "Oh, you said you would help me with my ex-husband," and this guy's just like the sweetest guy. He's like, I didn't know you meant like that, but he's like, I couldn't in good conscience.
Hell
like,
no.
if I say no, then she'll ask someone else. So he
Yeah.
pretended to go along with it. He's like, oh yeah, I can get you somebody. And then it's
That's
like,
what makes
beep,
these
boop,
stories
boop, boop,
so
boop, boop.
great.
Cops.
Yeah, because you have like average people having to basically be undercover cops.
Yeah.
And like you're hearing them like act. And
That
it's
show
great.
is
Yeah,
life.
It's
Oh,
great.
dude, I
now.
can't
I'm
wait.
like popcorn. I'm like,
But also,
Yeah.
accident, suicide, or homicide. Definitely.
I know.
watch it.
I want to check. I want to
Yeah.
check that out now too. That story was bananas. 'Cause
Yeah.
How do you prove?
Yeah.
Because accidents do
Happen.
happen.
They do happen.
But
they
not
don't
usually when
happen
you're
twice.
hiking and not when you're
Not
skydiving.
when
Well,
you
I
have
mean-
4 policies out for millions of dollars.
Well, and it was interesting because like the detective on the case, even with everything they had gathered, he said that my boss came up to me the day of the trial and was like, it's a coin flip still, even though they had gathered evidence that he had made that trip 9 times.
Wow.
And there was a map with an X where she fell and all this
Jesus.
stuff.
it's so
But
like
it's circumstantial. You could be like, oh, well, I put that X there because I thought it would be a nice place to like look over the park. You know, you could say,
and I wanted to stop there because I wanted to do a second proposal. Anything. You can
I'm also
fucking
just
say anything.
amazed by people who like, you can see there are pictures of them at the Stanley together as a couple. There are pictures of her, she's smiling on this hike. She doesn't know, like she's like however many hours away from dying. And it's just so crazy to me that someone could be that cold. You're at the hotel with your wife on your 12th anniversary, smiling in a picture with her when you know that you're going to kill her the next day. Isn't that the
chills.
most insane thing?
Oh, that's so
Horrible.
That's so scary.
And you don't know, like when you meet like that is what's scary about Crazy in Love is like you don't know necessarily when you meet somebody that they're,
Of course.
that they're this
Nope.
type of person.
Right.
She had no reason to know, like to think that.
Oh, watch out for them red flags, kids.
Yeah. Pay attention to your gut. Your gut is trying to tell
Yep.
you something.
Every time.
Yep. Well, if you've got Crazy in Love suggestions or Fuck, Marry, Kill suggestions or just want to reach out, go to myworstdatepodcast.com. It's kind of a one-stop shop where you can join our Patreon. It's got links to our social media feed and ways that you can listen to us and talk to us and it's just everything that you need. So go and check it out. Also, do we have anything else coming up?
Nothing
I don't think so.
coming up.
My band has a show at the 5-Star Bar on May 3rd. If you're in downtown LA,
Yeah.
So that's kind of fun.
We should put one of your songs at the end of one of our shows sometime.
Yeah.
Seriously,
Oh, we can
we
because
should.
I have the. Oh yeah, that would be fun.
Putting in a hard request for Broken.
I know.
Sing along that song. It's my favorite.
Yeah,
but-
do it. I think,
be cool.
Put it in at the end.
Okay, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe
got-
for a
I'll think about
special
it, whatever.
special treat. You guys
And we
can
got
hear
some
it.
new Patreon content coming up for you too.
Yes.
So look for that. And otherwise, I think that's it.
Yeah.
Thanks a wrap.
Thank you so much, guys. We'll see you next time.
Cheers.
This is a Glass Box Media Podcast.